great blessing. Let's go to my man, John McMullen, joining me now here on the postgame show. Johnny Mac, welcome to the show, brother. The people have been waiting to hear from the great John McMullen.
You there, John? Sorry about the lighting here, but there's not much I can do about it. Wow is all I could say about that performance, especially the first half performance. I mean, the game was over 30 minutes in, and it was just so dominating defensively. They clamped down. They played a lot of quarters coverage. I was just downstairs talking to Vic Fangio. He confirmed that for me. I saw that, and I saw it was a little bit more than normal. So for whatever reason, you see Cooper DeJean on the pick six being able to peel off his guy, eyes on the quarterback, and take it back for a touchdown. Perfect example, Zach Bond with the diving interception. Really, that pretty much sealed the game at 24-0 in the first quarter. And again, I talked to you guys early in the show, 24 points in the first half, 23 yards given up. 23 yards given up
that is insane,
in 30 minutes of football against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Jalen Hurts deserves Super Bowl MVP. We all know it's an offensive award. But, boy, you got to come up with a award to give to Vic Fangio for that game. But the players also. I always say it's a players' first league, and Vic will say that too. It is a players' first league. They have to execute. They're the ones on the field. And the bottom line is when he can play too high safety and he can rush four and he can get home and stop the run, it's easy for him. It's easy for him. And the Eagles' pass rush, particularly from Josh Sweat and Milton Williams, even more so than Jalen Carter. Josh Sweat gave Joe Thuney just a beating. And that's one of the best left guards. We talked about that. Left guards in football, forced to play left tackle. And he's been doing a good job. He did a really good job in the AFC Championship game. I don't think he gave up one pressure. And Josh Sweat just beat him up as a big time. I think he's one of the most underrated players on the Eagles. He just made himself even more money. If they did want to give it to a defensive player, it should have went to Josh. But so many impressive performances. And, it's a 40-22 final, but it wasn't that close. It was not that close. A lot of garbage time, points and yardage. Just one of the most impressive Super Bowl performances. And, Jordan Davis, saw him coming off the field. And I'll tell you, he said, we didn't have to keep it close, and they didn't keep it close because a lot of people are worrying about Patrick Mahomes in the last 5 minutes of the game or whatever, last drive of the game. If you blow them out, it doesn't matter. But to do what they did against – because I don't want to dismiss how good Patrick Mahomes – he wasn't tonight, but he's really good. And Andy Reid is really good. And they just completely clamped down.
John, it was unbelievable. I've never seen Mahomes look so bad. And I don't know if it was because of him just not playing well or because the defense was just that good, but it really was unbelievable to see how good that defense performed. And by the way, I just want to get you to comment on this too. You've talked a lot about Vic Fangio. You've been one of the guys who's, kind of told people how good he is. And without some of the hardware, John, not everybody buys into it. To do it in this fashion, after spending 40 years in the league, how big of a moment is that for Vic Fangio?
Oh, it's a huge moment. He's never won one before. Cal Moore leaves soon, and that's what I would try to tell the people. When things went wrong in 2022, with Jonathan Gannon, no, he wanted to win a Super Bowl really, really badly. So did Kellen Moore, even though he's going to, as I said, go on to a new job. And certainly for Vic Fangio. I mean, you've heard all the people. I've been saying it for 2 weeks. Doesn't matter how many times you say it. And I am going to spike the football a little bit because it's not close when it's Vic Fangio versus Steve Spagnuolo. It's not close. And I use the Larry Brown comparison in basketball for basketball fans. I don't think people understand the job of coaches. You're not going to have Super Bowl talent every year. So your goal as a coach is to get the most out of the talent you do have. And Vic does that consistently better than anybody in this business for the past 15 years, to the point that nobody gets copied more than Vic Fangio. As I said, all these 2 weeks, and you know it better than anybody, Zander, nobody copies Steve Spagnuolo. Everybody copies Vic Fangio. And they don't do it as well as Vic, as you saw last year with Sean Desai. But, yeah, you can't throw enough flowers at Vic Fangio. I'm happy for him. You know, he gets to win it in what he considers his hometown, at least from an NFL standpoint, of Philadelphia. And, you know, just for it to work out that way and that kind of dominant performance against this team and those names, you know, I don't think you're going to hear those conversations anymore that Vic Fangio doesn't deserve to be in the conversation with any defensive coordinator, you know, not just Steve Spagnuolo, any defensive coordinator. This is the guy everybody copies.
John, and that was.
Doesn't that tell anybody anything?
Yeah.
Well, look, copying is great. Doing that in the Super Bowl, John, versus Patrick Mahomes and holding him to 23 yards in the first half when your team has 24 points, that answers everything, brother. I mean, that's unbelievable what Vic Fangio did. Let's keep rolling, John. I want to get to a couple other people here. Jalen Hurts, man. Just, you know, this is a guy that is, I think, a widely misunderstood player. You talk about it all the time. Your thoughts on his game tonight, what this means for where he stands in NFL lore, and, you know, anything you can give us from inside the locker room as well. I saw you putting out some videos.
Yeah, and the Superdome, boy, they got to upgrade this facility. Not the best wireless, not the best elevators, not the best anything, but old facility. But in Jalen Hurts' instance, yeah, he had a tremendous game. Look, this is ironically, this was probably the worst performance. I'd have to go through every game. He had a few bad games. I know he had a bad game against Cleveland, but they've been few and far between production-wise for Saquon Barkley. They did what they wanted to do when it came to Saquon Barkley. That's the only thing Kansas City came into this game and accomplished. I think he ran it 25 times for 57 yards. It's not very effective.
Right.
It didn't matter. Did not matter because Jalen Hurts was the leading rusher for this team. He made a lot of plays, gouging them in the running game. All year we talked about that, his ability to make big plays on third down or in big spots that are sort of back-breaking for the opponent. Just very effective throwing the football. Only threw it 22 times, so that's what the Eagles wanted. We talked about that all week. 15 to 25 is the wheelhouse where they want to be. They landed right there at 22, 17 of 22, very effective, 221. And he left some meat on the bone. I mean, you know, one of the best things about Kellen Moore was that he took my advice, and with those blitzes, just throw go routes.
Right.
And he started with Jahan Dotson wide open. Went back to A.J. Brown wide open. Then it was Jahan Dotson. And then he had A.J. again. That would have been a big gainer. He underthrew it. He had the interception, which was an underthrow. So he had two more that he probably should have hit. So I thought that was a good game plan from Kellen Moore. All right, with this guy Dotson, and I could throw those go routes, but everything was working for the Eagles today. So, you know, to play this kind of game at the biggest moment on the biggest stage, I mean, it doesn't get much better than that from the Eagles' perspective, because there's not, other than the running game, the traditional running game, where I said Saquon 25 for 57, everything worked.
Yeah,
everything worked except for the one interception, which was a bad underthrow. And they, you know, and Jalen got hit. That's why he underthrew it. But
yeah, it was very obvious.
You know, if he got that ball out there.
Yeah, he didn't follow through.
He got that ball out there.
aired it up.
Yeah,
Yep.
if he was able to, that's probably a touchdown. So that's how close it was. So I thought it was a good game plan. Kellen Moore and the continuity talk, for all the people to say, yeah, you need continuity. Jalen with the second year with Shane Steichen. Well, he just did it with the first year with Kellen Moore. So no more continuity talk. They'll be fine. This is a really good team. And now we quickly turn to Howie Roseman season. Obviously, we'll start a week or so down the road as they have the Super Bowl parade and all that kind of stuff. But this team is set up for being a good team because of how young they are for a significant period. But they have some questions they have to answer with, Josh Sweat made himself a lot of money today, as I said. Milton Williams made himself a lot of money today. Those two players specifically, and how Howie Roseman is going to do it, smoking a big victory cigar. I'll send you some of the videos of it celebrating in the locker room when I get off. But yeah, I mean, it was a pretty impressive performance to win the game, but I didn't think they were going to beat them like they beat them, and they just dismantled them.
They really did. I mean, that's the best word for it. They dismantled them. Really, the Chiefs never had a chance after that first touchdown. They never had a chance in the game. Pretty unbelievable. John, I just want to get your we'll get back into the game a little bit, but I do want to get your take on and bring us inside the locker room, John. What was it like in there? Did you see any moments of anything that stuck out to you? Was there maybe a player hugged another player, a coach hugged a coach, something like that? Anything you can give us, share from us, bring us an inside look into the locker room, man. You know how many fans, John, would dream of being in that locker room after the win. So you got to see it. You were right there next to them. You might have some champagne on you at this point. What did you see in the locker room?
Yeah, I already put up a couple videos at JAKIB McMullen on victory cigars, dancing. So I got one. Yeah, I lost you for a second. Hopefully it comes back. You got me?
I got you, but you're going in and out. You want to try reconnecting real quick? Yeah, let me try and reconnect with John. Real quick. John, if you can hear me, I'm going to try and reconnect. I'm going to boot you out and just rejoin John. It was good for a little bit there, but I'll kick you out. And then you can rejoin in, Johnny Mac. So I'll get Johnny Mac in. Appreciate everybody being here, man. We're Super Bowl champions. I think John McMullen's breakdowns are the best in the business. So you could see how well he dissects. I love the way John consumes the game. He always knows what the key factors are right off the top. Not everybody knows those key factors right off the top. And really impressive stuff from Johnny Mac. You heard him talk about Vic Fangio and what this defense did today. I mean, guys, this is historic. This performance was historic in what they did in this Super Bowl. They took a Hall of Fame coach and quarterback and dismantled them, as Johnny Mac said, dismantled them, completely and utterly dismantled them. So amazing stuff what they did there. Let me get back to Johnny Mac here and see what he can, if I can get to him. Johnny Mac, I got you, brother.
Yeah, hopefully it holds. But yeah, I put up a couple celebration videos already on my X account at JAKIB McMullen. Got one with Howie dancing. People will like that. Howie gave a big hug to Jalen Hurts when Jalen finally got in there late after the game. A lot of celebrating going on. Kobe Dean on crutches. Very happy to see him. Yeah, a lot of celebration, rightfully so. It's really hard to win in this league, and the Eagles finished 18-3, and after a 2-2 start, they won 16 of 17 games. And I would say the only game they lost it with 6 seconds left in Washington after they lost Jalen Hurts 6 minutes into the game. That's the kind of run that they were on, and there's so many people to talk about. The offense is just so good. The offensive line, the Chiefs blitz is typically very good. it just was not working. I mean, those guys get stoned by the offensive line, and you can almost see the Eagles have prided themselves on being physical and taking the will of people. Seems like they took the will of this team pretty early. Never seen Patrick Mahomes play that poorly, ever. Closest would be the other Super Bowl he lost against Tampa Bay. Same type of thing. That's always, let's be honest, when a quarterback plays poorly, it's always the pass rush, and that's what happened with the Eagles. So, everybody talks about skill position players, and everybody talks about pick sixes and interceptions. They win with offensive and defensive line, man. It's so boring, but that's how they win. That's why they win. That's why they're so successful. And both of those two units delivered so well today. The Eagles at one point had a 54% in the third quarter. They put it up. I don't know how it ended, but the third quarter, the next gen stats in the stadium, they had a 54% pressure percentage and had not blitzed once. Four-man rush. That means they can play quarters coverage. That means it makes it easier to do everything. And the leading rusher for the Chiefs was Patrick Mahomes today at 4 carries for 25 yards. The running backs carried it 7 times for 24 yards. And they're playing light boxes. That's how much the front dominated the Kansas City Chiefs.
Pretty amazing stuff there, Johnny Mack. John, I brought up Jalen. We talked about Nick Sirianni, Vic Fangio. Kellen Moore is now on his way out the door, but where does this team rank, man? And look, you've covered a lot of Super Bowls. This was a pretty unbelievable one, but just going back and thinking about this season, thinking about the 2-2 start, thinking about, morphing, and you kind of thought it was the wrong move in terms of just too soon that they kind of bailed on the passing game. But ultimately now, John, they're the champions of the National Football League. So clearly it all worked out, but just, kind of take all that in if you can, and your thoughts on this team and what they were able to accomplish tonight.
Well, I think the last 2 weeks, really not the last 2 weeks, the last 2 games really showed what they wanted to be. Washington in the championship game and tonight against the Chiefs, because they really did win. The whole thought process of Howie Roseman putting this team together offensively, the way he put it together was that, all right, if you want to stop Saquon Barkley, we'll beat you with the passing game. Maybe we'll beat you with Jalen Hurts' legs on the ground. If you want to take away the passing game and A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, we'll beat you with Saquon Barkley. That never really developed until the NFC Championship game. And then they finished it off today again in the Super Bowl where, again, Saquon only averaged 2.3 yards a carry. Longest run was only 10 yards. If I told everybody going into the game, Saquon's going to run it 25 times for 57 yards, they would have went, uh-oh, what's going to happen? He destroyed him.
It's amazing. It really is. It's unbelievable moment for this team. Where do you think this rank? I mean, this might be a hard one to answer. Where do you think this ranks among greatest moments in Eagles history? Is this one top to 17, you think?
Ranks among Super Bowls. I lost you there at the minute.
Ranks among greatest moments in Eagles history, John. Greatest moments in Eagles history.
And again, the first half, it was best defensive performance I've ever seen.
I'm losing J-Mac here.
But they got some garbage time stuff in the fourth quarter, so that it doesn't look as good on paper as, say, 13-3 back a few years ago. Dallas scored 3 points, or it was Miami scored 3 points against Dallas way back in '72 before the perfect season. Those were the two best defensive performances in Super Bowl history. And the Eagles did end up giving the garbage time points, but when it mattered, it was the best defensive performance ever when it mattered. And the game was over when Kansas City started. So to me, I like my NBA comps. If you're winning 100-60 at the end of the third quarter, and somebody, all right, you empty your bench, scores 30 points in the fourth quarter. Who cares? That's what the Eagles today. That first half, I think I told you guys when I jumped on as I was trying to get down to the locker room. 23 yards in the first half, 0 for 6 on third down, longest leg 11 yards. Unbelievable performance. They didn't convert a third down. They didn't cross the 50-yard line until that pass to Xavier Worthy, that 50-yard pass to Xavier Worthy, deep in the third quarter.
It's amazing, man. It's amazing what they able to do. John, yeah, I'm here. John, I got to let you run, man. The connection's going in and out. I don't know if you can still hear me or not. Can you still got me? Yeah, I'm losing John. Let me see if I can reconnect with him. I know it's a pain in the ass, everybody. I wish these stadiums would get better internet. You have freaking all these reporters here. It's like, but it is what it is, man. I just wanted to ask him what Howie Roseman meant to this team and what he was able to do, obviously, for this one. It's almost time for the post-game show, everybody, where we're going to bring on Eagles fans all night long, all right? So we're going to talk to Eagles fans, all right, until the last one is done. So I'm looking forward to doing that with everybody. All right. Should be a great show with all of you guys. I'll get to a couple super chats